Hello everyone. So we have already seen how we can add the staff to an existing database using our repository method. How we can delete an existing staff record from the database using the staff ID, and how we can also update the staff record using our staff repository methods. The only thing we didn't see is how we can get the existing staffs from the database, how we can read it and see in our endpoint, right, in our response. So in our controller, we had a method for that. We have a method called get staffs. That method will simply call that this is the endpoint URL, and that method will simply return you a list of staffs, and it will call a method from the service that is get staffs method. So if you go to the service and see the get staffs method, it will simply return staffs. What is staff? It is a list of staffs. So it will simply return an existing internal list staffs where earlier we were adding and removing and updating the staffs. So now what we have to do is we don't have to do anything with this internal list, but we have to return the data from the database, right? Existing all the staff details or staff records as a list we have to return, or in other words, we have to return the existing staff records from the database instead of the internal list. So what we can do is here, what is the method we, as usual, what is the method we have it for from this repository, right? That is the question, right? So in the repository we have a method for this as well. That means to get all the data from this database. In another word, select all from staff, right? Select all from the staff table, right? That is a query, right? So there is a method for that in this repository. So for the moment I will comment the existing line and I will replace it with the repository method. So I'm going to return the data, right, from the table. So for that I have the staff repository, and there's a method from the staff repository called find all. Okay, so this method will simply implement the query select all from that particular table, right, whatever the staff table. So the find all method will simply return all the data, right, nothing but that. So the staff repository will go to this staff table because it is extending the JPA repository by passing the staff object and also the parameter like primary key. So it knows it has to find from the staff table, and it will find all the record from the staff table, and it will simply, you can see the return value, it will simply return a list of staff, right? You can see. So our method also returning a list of staff. So in another word, sorry, my cursor is playing with me. A method also returning a list of staff. So in other words, this repository will find all the records from this database table, and it will return us all the records as a list one after another. So it is that simple, right? So I simply replace this line with this method. So now we don't retrieve from the internal list. Instead of that, we are retrieving the data from the database table itself, okay, using the find all method. So I will build the application now and run it to see if it is working or not. So my application is being built. Okay, so it has been successfully built now. So what I will do is I will run it now. So it is being run now. So it is started. So first I will go to my database and see the existing data, right? Select all from staff. So actually the same scenario is going to happen. I'm going to get all the data from the existing table, right? Select and get. So you see we have two data, staff ID 3338, 3339, name Robert, age 30, and name Mary and age 29. So I need to get all these two data in my endpoint, isn't it? So now if I go to my endpoint, before that, like, okay, let's say if I go to my endpoint, I will call these staffs, this get staff, and it will go to the staff service get staff method. That is actually here, and from there it is going to call the repository find all method, where it is going to read this table and return these two data, right? Basically that is what is going to happen. So I will open my Postman, and I have that get pin endpoint here that is called staffs. Okay, so there is a URL. So I'm clicking send, and it's 200 OK, and you can see the data here, right? We have two date records. One is 3338 Robert, age 30, and the other one is 3339 Mary, and age 29. If you want to verify, you go to database and you run the query, select all query, and you see two data: 3338 Robert, age 30, and 3339 Mary, and age 29. So guys, now you know, like, we can successfully even do get as well. That means get all the staffs. So now we have done addition, add, and updating. That means update, insert, update, and deleting, delete, and also get. Okay, so that means all the CRUD operations we have done with the database. So what I will do is, we are good now. What I will do is I will clean the code, because I don't need the list related things now, because we are done with that. So I will simply remove these unnecessary code, and I will do a code refactoring by removing the code and make the code more small, because we don't need all these things, right? All these code and all, right? I mean, this kind of commented code. I will do these things in the upcoming videos, and we will see what we can see further, do further. But basically, now you know completely, you know how you can add, update, delete, and get the data from the database using your API endpoint properly with the controller, service, and repository layer without any issues. Okay guys, so I will meet you in the next video. Until then,